Right. Well, we will have a moment soon.
I've learned that I mean, it may seem like he's the more bubbly one, I'm the more calm one, but I'm actually not that calm. And I've had to learn that within this relationship, because Cameron's very calm, especially in volatile situations. He's very relaxed and he knows how to deal with things, and that's not something I was very good at doing. My first response to conflict is to run away and get really heated and then get really dismissive and then run. And Cameron's response to that is to calm everything down, yeah, that's the opposite of what my first response would be. And I've really had to learn that that's a very healthy way of dealing with things. It's just to calm down. It's not to go from 0 to 100. And I suppose it's been 2 years of practicing that, and it now translates into me being able to show this very calm side of myself, which I think I got from this relationship, or primarily from being in this relationship.
I mean, I suppose I've learned how to be consistent in many ways. I think that as someone who spends a lot of time in the public eye, I've been inconsistent over the years in that, you know, I've got to be different versions of myself at different times because it's appropriate for what I'm doing. And if there's one thing that even my family has noted during this relationship is the consistency of who I am and what I am. And I think that Calym's taught me to be a lot more deliberate in who I am and how I present myself, and has done so with a level of integrity and authenticity that I don't think was there before. I'm not saying that I wasn't my authentic self before, but I think that I've come to realize my authentic self more in the course of this relationship, because I've been given the room to be myself. And that's to be myself in terms of how I envision our relationship, which is by no stretch of the imagination normal. I mean, it may look like it from the outside, but it's not. I think it's also challenged me in many ways to reimagine what it's like to share my life with someone. And I don't think that before I was the sharing type. I think that I was living a life that was very for me, by me, with me. And so I've now learned to be part of something with someone else. And I've enjoyed interactions with other people before, but I think that this particular interaction, this particular relationship has been so life-changing and so profound for me that I've changed in ways that I didn't anticipate. And I don't think any of those are bad. I just think that they've made me a lot more true and a lot more authentic than I was before.
Very big question. So many answers.
I mean, as a couple, we really do need to build this staircase that we've been talking about. That's an immediate plan. I think realistically, we're engaged, and I don't think that marriage is on the cards soon. And I think it's quite a deliberate move. I don't think that we don't want to get married. I think that we're just finding ourselves at present in such a comfortable space with one another, and that things are just I mean, things are overwhelmingly clear. Our trajectory is overwhelmingly clear, and we don't need to complicate that at the moment. Not to say that marriage would complicate it. I think that we're actively working towards starting a family of our own, and that takes a lot of conscious effort. We're actively thinking about saving. We're actively thinking about being non-white, and being in a racialized society like South Africa has meant that we are even more conscious about the fact that we do not want our children to grow up like we did. We don't want our children to lack or want for anything. And so a lot of the very hard work in our relationship is not so much to deal with one another or what we want, in relation to each other, but what we want in the longer term, or where we're going to in terms of building a relationship that is conducive to us having a family, building a relationship that is conducive to the things that we want beyond family. So we've got a particular, our moms are still grappling. We've got like a terms of reference for engagement now, which is our family unit first, and then our immediate family after, which is a very big shift, especially growing up in a non-white household where family is your be-all and end-all. And it's not to say that's not our reality at present. It's just that we're actively working towards building a family unit that reflects all the things that we felt or were missing in our lives, or things that we thought could have been improved in our lives. And being part of a generational change that is cognizant of the history of race, not only in South Africa but in the world, that is cognizant of the fact that there's an expectation of us as a queer couple to be a particular way, and we want to make sure that we don't just conform to a norm, but that we become a new norm. I think that when I envision the long term of our relationship, I envision a family unit where when we walk down the street as a family, no one's going to look twice. And so my work on the day-to-day is everything to do with that. But I think also the work that we're putting into our relationship has a lot to do with that. And so, yeah, I think that there's a lot that I look forward to. There's a lot that we plan for, and we revise and we revisit and we share, and that's such a beautiful journey to be on together. I think that's the trajectory that we're on. Is it something cast in stone? No. Is it marriage? Is it 2.5 kids, white picket fence? No. Is it going to be messy? I sure as hell hope so, because we're not going to be dry in our old age. But we want to create a new normal, and we want to show others that it's okay not to be the cookie cutter couple. It's okay not to be 2.5 kids. It's okay not to be if we decide that monogamy is for us, then that's what it is. But it doesn't have to be that for everybody. And our kids don't have to be adopted, at 2.5 months so that they don't know that they're adopted. We don't need to be the kind of picture perfect queer couple. Our queerness extends beyond our identities, our sexual life, our home, our family. Our queerness is very much a part of how, at least in my mind, we envision the world.
And to add to that, even though we've got all of these ideas, grand ideas about what the new queer normal is and that we want to represent, we still have many discussions about our own personal aspirations, and it changes things all the time, because yes, we see a family and adopting a child or having a child and relocating or moving to a different city for a new adventure, but there are so many in-betweens, like where do you see your career? You can't always make a decision that's puts your relationship first. Life isn't always that ABC. Sometimes you have to make a decision that's best for you, And I think we try and mold that into the relationship or discussions so that you don't, well, one thing that we're clear on is that in a year or 2 or 5 or 10 years, you never want to look back and say, oh shit, I made a decision that I regret because I had this vision of this perfect queer family in mind. So yes, we want the mess to ensue through the gaps and through the seams, because I don't want Cameron to make a decision that he regrets, and I know that he feels the same. He doesn't want me to do anything for the relationship that I'll regret in the future, and I think that's really important for future growth.
It's also hard. Like, I mean, to be considering someone else at all times. And I think even as recently as yesterday, we were having a discussion about what a next career move would mean. And Calym said to me, if you weren't in this relationship, would you have done this? And I was like, fuck yes. I would have been out of here. Like, but I think that we're probably on the same page when it comes to, we know that we'll have each other's support if we want to do something that's outside of those neat confines of what our relationship could be and would be. And that's enough for me to make a decision that's like, okay, well then for now I'm happy to let that ship sail. There'll be another, you know. And is it something that we'll look back on and regret? Well, maybe, but at the moment we're fine with how it is. And if that changes, I know that I've got a partner that will kind of engage that change with me, and that I don't need to think too far about whether me moving to another country or another province, or, you know, taking on a new chapter in my life. I don't think I'm ever concerned about how that will affect our relationship, because in this very short time, one thing that we've ensured above all is that the foundation is solid as fuck. Like, we know that this foundation is here and you can do whatever you think. Calym asked me a few months ago, I think just before Corona, I was like, where was this place? That place that was just a house somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That you were like,
some island, probably.
There was some island with a house, and these people like, you can come live here for I think 3 or 4 months or whatever it was. And Calym's like, I'd really like to do that. And I was like, sure, that's what you need to do right now. That's what you need to do. And there's no concern about the longevity of this relationship because of that foundation. And I think that's probably the thing that has sustained this relationship and will continue to sustain it. Be like, you read this book, always speak to me again.
Guys, this is so interesting. I'm actually feeling like